unbelievable. Yeah, it's great. So you know, they're all good. Some are just better than others, but they're all
I
memorable.
know it is.
Running with Maverick and Wolfman. Maverick here.
Wolfman here. We have a fun, exciting episode for you today. And before we get to that, please make sure you find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The big one is YouTube. Find us there. Please consider subscribing. Like it, follow it. We can keep bringing great stuff to you. All right, so let's get to it. My favorite marathon, cliche as it is, the Boston Marathon is coming up here Monday, April 21st. We've got an exciting show for you today, bringing on two guests we've had on before. Between the three of us, we've completed, we think, about 15 Boston Marathons. The amazing Lori Kinglsey and the great Gary. There we go. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Wow, living the dream.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome back, and thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
We've already been having too much fun, so let's bring the audience into it.
Okay.
So guys, I have a question for you three Boston marathoners. Boston is considered one of the pristine marathons in the world, arguably the most desirable marathon. What makes it so great? Why is it so coveted?
Go ahead, Lori.
I was going to say, I think the main thing for Boston was the fact that the history behind it, and when they tried to, I mean, just the history in general in Boston is really neat. And then to put together a marathon and, that they have, they wanted to limit it. And by trying to limit it, as you guys know, the history made it even more popular. And then they made the time even harder, which made it even more popular. So I think just not on purpose, but they ended up becoming, the most popular marathon in the world. And it's also, I mean, Gary knows, and, obviously Wolfman does too, but like the people. I have never experienced anything in my life like the people that come out, just millions of people from start to finish. And it's incredible. Just the atmosphere, the history, everything coming together.
Yeah, yeah. It's all that. It's you just want to go to do it at least once just to get there. And I was fortunate enough to meet John Kelly there at one time. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's pretty awesome.
The old John Kelly, the
Old
one
John
that
Kelly sang the
Oh, I
song,
know it.
"Fairy
First,
Tales Can Come True."
yep.
They wheeled him down through the people there, and I kind of went over and
Of course you did.
I said,
You're the same. You're the same man that picked
"Don't
up an
stand
elite
up,"
bottle.
But
You're the same. Gary, I remember you saying, "I found an elite bottle," and you picked it
oh,
up.
yeah.
Remember that?
I was looking for that. It's
That's
female
right.
number 3, I think, or female number 4, and I was looking for that, and I couldn't find it. But yeah, I always wanted them. You'd see them on the table at the big marathons, and
Yeah.
And I was going. I think that was the second Boston, and there was one on the table, and I just grabbed it. I think it was just like like sugar water in there. It wasn't really anything.
Oh, you even tried it?
Yeah, well, sure, I tried.
I love you, Gary.
But it was pretty good. It was pretty neat. But Boston is, it's really cool. I mean, like you said, the whole place is wild, and everybody's having a good time. And I don't know, the race is unbelievable. I mean, the whole
Yeah,
way, it's just you're at a high.
yeah.
It's just wild. It's really cool. Just really cool.
And your fastest mile is going to be while you're going by Wellesley College.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just all that. I mean, I'm sure with men too, but even women, it,
yeah,
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I think I just did a 6:10 mile. Like, whoa, all this screaming. And
yeah.
you literally hear it a half mile
Oh
away.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
literally hear it.
It's
I,
wild. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of slapping fives the whole way down through there. It's
yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. Pretty cool. Really neat. Yeah.
I think I agree with you guys, and I think too the prestigiousness of it, because there's a qualifying standard. I mean, isn't it
Hmm.
one of the only marathons
Yes.
besides the Olympic trials that you
Yep.
have to qualify for
Yep.
to run, which they are talking about getting rid of. They're talking about making it a lottery, which I don't think they should. I don't think they should.
For
Um,
what? Boston or
Boston, yeah, yeah,
oh, like New York City?
Yeah.
like New York and Chicago,
Would they
yeah.
s- would they still have a qualifying time
I would think
and
they
the
would have
lottery?
to, because even Chicago and New York, I think there's a time you can
Yeah.
qualify with to
Yeah.
bypass the lottery. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say the people, the history of it, and yeah, the difficulty to get there
Yeah.
uh, is what makes it so luring.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody says, "Well, did you run Boston?" So
They
Yeah,
do. You're right.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
it's like,
right. I love it when
yeah.
people ask, "Are you going to win Boston?" I'm like,
Yeah, of
well, you
course.
were. Hey, I was going to ask.
"Sure."
Okay, Louis, I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh no.
The closest I got to the front was the seventh gate, and I think they ran 13 gates that year, 13,000 people. And the closest
Okay.
I got to the seventh, I was number 76 something. So, but you weren't in a gate, were you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, tell us
We were.
that story. How lucky were you?
I was in that. Is it a Korean church?
Yeah.
At the start, they brought us. And it was. I mean, they took us through the. We had to meet at the plaza, take the elite buses, and then they took us to behind that church,
Hmm.
and then we went into the church and they had that all fenced off. But that's why I said Michael Murphy and
Okay.
Rachel and Chris found a way to get, like I heard him go, Lori, Lori. And I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that's where they just walked us through. They don't walk people through the cemetery anymore. And I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We went through the cemetery to the start line. They would let you out. It was, pretty neat. But yeah, but
That's
I did do the gates and I'm doing the gates this year.
oh,
So
yeah.
I'm back to where I began. Yep.
Ah,
Except for
that's,
I'm back further than even the first time I qualified, even though my time's faster.
Hmm.
oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
I'm
Interesting.
Yeah, but it'll be fun,
Oh, it'll
I
be a
won't.
lot of fun. It'll be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
what's wild is the last time I was there, which was I think 2 years ago, um, the bus driver still got lost going to the start. Couldn't believe it.
Stop.
It was like, whoa. He says, "Can I just drop you off here?" And it's like somebody says, "Yeah, we know the way." And I just thought, okay, I'll get off too. And we walked down over the hill.
Wait, I'm going to drop you off. You still have to run a marathon,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
and the
I
start
know.
line is 2 miles down. But you got this. Good warm
You
up.
got it. Yeah, it's a warm up. But that was pretty wild. I thought, well, they ought to know the routine by now. It's
Yeah.
30 years or whatever it is.
Yep.
Crazy. So,
What would you guys say was the best advice that you ever got from, whether it be a fan, family, a competitor? What's the best advice that you ever got?
Ooh. I'll let you start, Gary. That's a tough
well,
one.
I was thinking about that. It wasn't about Boston. It was about another race, a longer race. And what the guy told me, he says, make sure you have enough in the tank after you finish the first half to finish the rest, and it really makes a difference. It really, if
Yeah.
you're doing a negative split, or if you're just picking it up towards the end, you're doing a lot better than a lot of people, and you're just flying by them. Whether you're doing a 10-minute mile
Yeah.
or not, you're flying by them, and
Yeah.
it really feels good. So to start out slow is a good way to go, you know. So now I start out slow and back off, so it's a little bit different, but
You start out slow and okay, I'm
yeah,
ready to
yeah.
take it down. I
But
think probably for myself was I had to learn to fuel. I was not good about fueling,
mhm,
and it was actually John Johnson that was all over me about that. "Laura, you can't run on an empty tank. You can't run on an empty tank." And it took me forever, and the coach I've had for a few years now, she, is OCD, so she is very particular. It works having an OCD coach, you know? And she had everything down when I did, Mesa Marathon, and she said, "You need this here, this here, this here," and I didn't bonk, I didn't have that crash.
that's good.
I mean, I didn't feel the best that day, but that was just me, my
Mhm,
body, but I didn't get that, that floaty head feeling
yeah,
and that nutrition
yeah,
because I was so used to just throwing it out there and only doing like 2 goos and some, like the water and what
yeah,
you have to get along the course. I've always been good about that. One year I was dehydrated and promptly passed out at the end of the marathon, but um, after that I was like, that was dumb.
well, what about your pacing? Did you get that figured out? I mean, that took me years to get my pacing right. You know what I mean? Because I would just go
Yeah,
with the flow, but then actually I started getting the pace, and I would just carry it with me in my pocket. Whether it's going to be a 9:30, whatever, and I would just pull that out, and I would just try. It take me 3 miles to get into it, and then finally get a pace and a rhythm, and
yeah,
then I was fine with that. I ended up qualifying using that pace, which really worked out good, rather than just being no man's land and just guessing.
yeah.
So it's a lot
It's
easier
like
to have the math in your hand than it is trying to figure it out when you're through
Well, and
the.
it's like you're saying, Gary, when you are in the last 10K of a marathon, especially the last 10K to 9 miles, you want to be passing. It doesn't matter what the pace is, because when you're being passed and those wheels fall off, which we've all been there. Anybody that's been in any marathon, ultra, you know what it feels like when those wheels fall off and you're like running in quicksand, and people are passing you. It's so mentally hard, versus I don't care if I'm doing an 8-minute mile at the end of a marathon. If I'm passing people, it gives you
Yeah,
it gives you power, it
yeah,
just fuels you, that energy.
hmm
Yeah, yeah,
In Boston, you have to be so careful because it's downhill and
yeah,
you really have to hold back, a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I typically will negative split, but I've been where I haven't negative split,
yeah.
so
yeah, yeah.
I've
I
crawled.
I've never been able to negative split, especially Boston's. The best advice I ever got for Boston was it starts downhill, take your time, which I don't do a good job of listening to that. But
Yeah.
the best marathon advice I ever got was don't try anything new on
Yes.
marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I know. And going downhill, Darren DeRuck, who was my coach for many, many years, he told me, at the beginning of Boston, he said, focus on striking, like your midfoot. Focus on striking in there because that eases the impact on your quads.
hmm
And
Yeah,
yeah, you can blow a marathon up in the first 10K if you go out too fast. It's gonna come back and that bear's gonna be crawling all over you.
Yeah.
You know,
There's nothing worse than going out too fast.
yeah,
especially a marathon. 5K, all right. If the wheels fall off, they fall off, and you have only a mile left. Where a marathon, you don't want them to fall off at.
Yeah. That's for
at
sure.
3 miles.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you hit the Newton Hills, they're not much, but it's where they hit
Yeah.
in the course.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all mountain people out here, so we know hills, we know mountains, but it just hits at a tough time.
yeah, yeah.
That's yeah, and nothing new. Yep.
If
Especially go
if
ahead.
there was one marathon that you would recommend for people to run if they couldn't run a second one, just one, what would it be?
Ooh. Mm.
Uh, I don't, well, that's a tough one because I like Big Sur. I like
Ah,
I
yes,
like
right, you did that one.
Mount Desert Island. That was beautiful. And I just ran one over in Dingle, Ireland. That was pretty cool too. Big Sur is pretty cool. Big Sur is pretty cool.
I
That's
remember when you ran that, Gary. I mean, the views, just the pictures.
unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah, it's great. So you know, they're all good. Some are just better than others, but they're all
I know,
memorable.
and it's dependent on, like, if you're somebody that likes a big crowd or if
Hmm.
you're somebody like me. I mean, even though Boston, it's fun, I like the quietness of wine glass. I love wine glass. It's like running home. I'm running out in the country. I love that one. And it's a good starter, but Steamtown's pretty good too. It's just that one, it's pretty hilly and
Yeah,
that one
but
it that one's a
Yeah.
hard one it's you're not going to negative split.
I
Yeah.
can sometimes. That's where I qualified. That's one of
On
my
at
favorite ones.
Steamtown?
Yeah, that reminds me of Boston out of most of them, out of all of them,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the start, and then you have a hill in
that's
Steamtown
true.
about 23 miles in, and I mean it's a
Yeah,
lot
but you,
like it's a
oh,
lot
you
like Boston, you know.
you climb that
Yeah.
last
Oh
gradual long hill before you come down to the finish, and I'm like, "Ugh,
yeah, yeah. I don't think people remember that hill.
I do."
That right before the finish.
Yeah.
You hit 25 and then you turn right and you head towards the finish, and it's
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually,
I
that
like.
was my first qualifier because it was my first marathon, and I did negative split on that only because I was running with someone, and, when you're doing your first marathon, you have no idea how to pace, it's
Yeah.
just the unknowns, and we went through the halfway point at 2 hours, and I'm like, "Well, I thought I wanted to get below a 3:40 to qualify for Boston,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "Well, I better pick it up," and I ran the second half in 1:30 something.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
so that was
a lot of times the first one is the fastest because you don't know.
right.
You just
Yeah.
you're just thinking, oh, I'll just try to hang on. But that was my first one was the fastest one that I ever did, and it was pouring down rain, and I had no idea what I was doing out there. I was up in Canada, so I mean that was pretty cool.
What was your first one?
My first one was uh, I don't tell you, it was across the Peace Bridge up in Canada.
Oh, did you do the international marathon, the Niagara
Yeah,
Falls?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's what
did
it was.
that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it was
That's
pretty cool.
beautiful. That was a cool one. I forgot about that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I can't.
That
What's it
was
called?
neat.
It's called the International. Is that what it's called?
Yep, then,
Okay, I'll have
the
to go down and
Falls
look at that.
International, it started, like, Buffalo area, and then you
Right.
ended up running
Yeah, we
across the
went on a
Peace
bus and
Bridge.
came in to check our bib numbers to see if we were,
Yep.
I guess, trying to trying to get into Canada without our
And then
information.
my family was trying to meet me, and they couldn't make it to the finish, and my mother's running, she's trying to run behind me going, "Lori, I'm proud of you," and I was heading toward home, and I was like, "Mom, I gotta get in, I gotta get in, I gotta
Yeah,
get back there," but that is a beautiful one. I did
yeah,
like
it is.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wild. If I had to tell somebody to do one, I would say I agree with Gary. They're all good. They're all fun. It depends on what you want, but I'd say Disney. Honestly, if
Oh
you
boy.
if you can
Oh,
get to that
Oh
one
was
boy.
was
that
pretty awesome.
fun?
Yeah, it was fun. Too
So you're
expensive though.
Yeah,
yes, some of these prices anymore, I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh, alright, I can get back because I had, free entry for many,
yeah,
many, many
yeah,
years. I'm like, "Alright, I can get back, Lori." Like, "Oh, this is what people been
yeah.
paying?" I'm like,
yeah.
No, they've gone up.
"Okay," because I was like,
It
yeah,
hasn't always been that way.
So recently on the show we had Casey Ellis.
I know, I love Casey.
So you're both familiar with him, or all of you are familiar with him, correct?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I don't have to fill you in on much. Then he ran one marathon, ran a pretty quick time,
226. 226.
2:26, and he's pretty excited about that. But he wasn't exactly thrilled. He was hoping to run the qualifier for the Olympic trials. What kind of advice could we give to a runner that's that talented at that stage? What kind of advice could you guys offer out, you veterans of marathons?
Go ahead, Lori. I can't think of anything right now. If
No,
he's that good,
he's so
I'd be
good.
asking him.
He's
Yeah.
so good. I mean,
Yeah,
I've talked with him. He coaches with my daughter at Tawanda, and I like Casey. That's why I'll put things up about him on Facebook because Casey is so he will not brag about himself. And he said, "I know you will because I will." I'm like,
yeah,
"Casey, this is amazing, amazing." Tom Carter, who is known to be one of the best runners of like the region for decades
yeah,
and breaks his record. So he only ran the one,
yeah.
but I think with Casey, and he was close to, he was what, 2 weeks out from trying to qualify, and he was going to run up in New York a loop race, and
Yeah.
he got injured, a really pretty
Yeah.
good injury that he knew, he couldn't do it. Um, for him, it's just a matter of making sure his mental state, when you start going for that qualifier, it taxes you emotionally and psychologically, and I will be the first to tell you that, and my girlfriend said, "Man, when you guys, the ones that go after that," she said, "It's just the pressure you put on yourself. It's not anybody else. Nobody put any pressure on me but me."
Mhm.
And, my husband, he's just like, "You did great." He had no idea, it's like, "John, I ran a 6:23 per mile. Isn't that awesome?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
But, I think the main thing with Casey is he definitely has the dietary stuff down because he and I've talked about a lot of things, and he's very analytical,
Mhm.
and, but I think with him, it'd just be a matter of staying balanced, and not working yourself up like, at times I did, before I even showed up, so hopefully he'll stay balanced in that way, but it would be the mind. That's the only advice I'd probably give to him, 'cause I
Mhm.
think he has the rest down pretty good.
yeah, yeah. I think he's done all the homework and preparation, and uh,
Yeah.
I would just say, hoping for a good day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
days are better than
Yeah.
others. So
Yeah.
flow
Yeah.
like water.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would just keep
Go ahead.
doing what you're doing because obviously it worked, and like Gary said, just you need that right day. And whatever race it is, marathon or not, like
Yeah.
if you're doing the work, you just need that right day, and that time will get there.
And, it's so hard when you get close to that time because it's weird when you start tapering.
Hmm.
It seems like maybe it's a mental thing, but do you guys ever find, like, then your body, all those physical
Yeah.
things are like, "Hey, we're here," the inflammation and the
Yeah.
ouchies
Yeah.
and stuff, and
I don't I don't know about you, Lori, but I'm getting it right now as I'm tapering for Jim Thorpe. Like, oh, that why does that hurt? Why is my knee hurting?
yeah,
What's going on here?
yep,
Maybe I should be running more.
yep, yep, and that's the like, what, Gary, 8 days out, and I'm like, "Did I get enough hay in that barn? Did I do this
Yeah.
okay? Did I" because you have bad runs. I went to Florida last week for a conference with my husband, and it was 88 degrees out, and I couldn't do 16 miles. I was
Yeah.
just it tanked me, and I'm walking, and I'm like, it doesn't give you that confidence you
That's
need right
right.
beforehand.
Yeah.
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 Like,
That
"Oh,
was
well."
is that your taper?
The 16 to yes, that is Gary.
About
Some of
that.
us some of us have a human moment. Gary led me into believing at one point, he's like, "Lori, it's not bad doing the ultras," and he was feeding me full of you know what,
Oh, yeah.
and, and I did that 100K at World's End, and I was like, "Gary's such a liar.
Well,
There is no way this is like,
yeah, but of
ooh,
all the ones you do, it's unbelievable. I mean, that was tough.
I want to die. I wanted to die,
Well,
Gary."
let's just put this in perspective, Gary. What is the most miles you've ever run at one shot?
529.
Right. Right. So prospectively, that wasn't bad. He's correct.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I've ever done that in a month.
I know.
I
No,
never have.
no,
That's just
I never have.
that was 10 days. That was yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
So
10.
so in perspective, yeah, he's like, yeah, that's not bad. I understand, Gary.
Eyes roll in the back of my head, Gary.
Yeah.
He also is full of crap when he says it doesn't hurt.
Oh,
Maybe not for Gary.
I know.
60
Yeah.
some miles. I wish 1,000 deaths upon myself.
well, well, his psychological strength is superior. Let's just agree
Oh,
on that.
Definitely.
okay. All right. All right. Is that what it is, Gary?
I there's not much up there, so it just kind of goes around and uh, even this last race. I mean, that was no headphones, no nothing. It's just whatever's out there thinking. It just goes in, goes out, and comes back, and
You don't ever wear
everything goes.
headphones?
What's that?
You don't ever wear headphones.
Do I ever wear? You know what? I wore headphones at the fair once in a while, probably probably like 1 to 3 in the morning when there's not many people out there. But actually, the air gets colder and it gets faster running. And I have a couple of 3 songs that I like listening, and I can do 5 or 6 miles pretty fast around that 1 mile loop at
Hmm.
that time. During the day, I don't listen to headphones. It's just when I get to that one period where there's not many people out there, and it's just like I said, the temperature changes and it's fast, and there's a lot of oxygen out there, and it just seems to really go. But
I got a quick question for you. How do you keep your core temperature like regulated at, because of the shift in the
yeah,
cold? And
well,
that's what I had trouble with when I did the ultra. Like I went from sweating to freezing.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think it all depends on what race you're running, a trail race. So you're really getting overheated and then cooling down for sure. With me out there on the loop, I can adjust it. I can adjust it every lap if I have to. I can take off a jacket and throw on a vest.
Right.
Sometimes you can just run with a t-shirt and you're fine until all of a sudden you're losing energy. You know what I mean? Then you start
Mhm.
feeling cold and you're getting weak, and then you got to eat some stuff, whether you want to or not. You just got to salt
Yeah.
potatoes, whatever. You just got to eat them. So I don't know.
I'm
It's
curious,
fun, but
what's your favorite food? When you do ultras, what's your power food?
uh, you know, I used to drink a lot of
Sorry.
Yoo-Hoo because you could drink that. You could drink that cold or warm. I like that, and sometimes I like those peanut butter cookies. They're like I don't know. Some of them. I don't know. I just this time This time I had some pizza. This last race, that was pretty good. They handed me some pizza. That was pretty good. But
See, Wolfman, you
Yeah.
and your sausage, egg, and cheese thing.
Yeah.
oh,
I
Well,
uh,
somebody.
still, that's
We
still,
nobody eats that stuff before a race. Oh,
we have yet to
no.
find a person that's eaten something like that.
oh, that.
Well, didn't
I,
Ben say he had pizza
Pizza's
on a
not
run?
what you're eating, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
and the big thing of coffee.
That's
Yeah.
right. Biggest coffee they have. Somebody once said to me, "Wow, that's a big cup of coffee." And I said, "Yeah, it's the biggest one Dunkin' Donuts has. If there was a bigger one, I'd have it.
You'd have that.
There you go. Yeah. Be carrying around the box.
I should.
Yeah.
Box of Joe, please."
Yeah.
On your back.
Yeah.
Oh, that might happen at my next marathon. Who knows? Sorry, Mav.
Well, that's okay.
So my question: have we ever been all at the same Boston?
I don't think we have.
I don't think so. I think I've been to one with Lori. Because were you there in '09 when there was
Yes.
a whole bunch of the Triple Cities members
Yes.
there? So I was at that one. What about you, Gary?
No, I was 01, 02, 03, 04, 016, 021, and 022.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, we've
21
never
was
all
the
been at one.
21 was the COVID. That's when they ran in October. That was
That's
Oh
right.
yeah,
that was a rolling
forgot
start. You
about
just
that.
kind of walked up there and said, "Okay, I'm going now," and then just
What was that like?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
rolling start. You just kind of walked up there and said, "I'm going now."
Really?
Yeah,
That was it.
there
Huh.
was two other girls up there when I got up there. I had a time between like it might have been like between 10:15 and 10:30 to leave or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I just got up there and you just kind of once you crossed the line, your foot, your tip started and you were in the race. But you
Huh.
kind of missed all those cheering people down along the sidelines. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it was kind of weird, but it was still pretty neat.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Hmm.
So, who was the most famous person you either ran past, whether they be a fan or actually in the event? Who's the
Mm.
most famous person you've seen in a race, any kind, marathon, ultra, anything?
For me, it would be the running reverend. Uh, I can't think of his name now. Can you? He ran across the United States to raise money for a church for Jehovah's Witness. Can you think of it?
Mm.
Okay. Well, I'll have to come up with his name later. He was kind of like Ed Whitlock. He was an old
Oh,
guy,
loved
and
Ed.
and I
God bless
cannot
his
think
soul.
of his name. I got to do some thinking while we're talking, I guess. But he was one. He was the most famous one I ran against. I had a good race. I was up at Corning. It was a Pepsi 10K. It was kind of a drizzly day, and I ran a 36:30, which was
That's
which
a good time.
which was fast for me. And
Yeah.
I can remember passing him, and I'm thinking, well, this isn't good, but it's really good. Like uh, I was having a good day, so it was a good day. But I cannot think of Bob Moore would know his name, but I can't think of the guy's name right now. But I'll think of it. So
Hmm.
how about you, Lauren?
As far as running with someone or by
Passing?
them, because I've
Or
had
even seen them in this, the
because I met them all at the elite events like Meb Keflesky, Dina Castor, Joan, um, uh, Samuelson,
Yeah.
Ed Whitlock. I loved Ed. Ed came to the Diamonds race. He just was. Um, Brian Hall, Sarah Hall. Like I met all of them when I was sitting in the elite area, and Desi. No, not Desi Linden. I didn't meet her, but I got to meet all of them back. I'd go to press conferences too, so I got to meet a lot of them at press conferences. As far as passing them, no, that's cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
The only one I ever ran with was Meb Keflesky after he retired. And he was down at the Virginia Beach Marathon, and he was pacing the hour and a half hour and a half half marathoners, and I was going for the 3 hour. And so I was running with him, and he's just such a sweet guy. That's the only way I ran with that type of elite when they were pacing. But just a lot, and I found in the running community, a lot of the top runners were just really nice people, very humble. The Kenyans, some of the top Kenyans, just down to earth people. Utica Boilermaker, I met a lot of the top Kenyans and Americans. So it was, I can't think of all of them, but it's been a lot. Dick Beardsley, he came to Wineglass one year and did a presentation, then ran. But he's a fascinating speaker. I loved listening to his, because you know how they have those things. I think probably at Boston, you
Yeah.
guys, you
Yeah.
meet a lot of them because some of them are at book signings or
Yeah.
uh, as far as running by one. I knew there was a Russian I always wanted to beat, but she pulled out around, I think it was after Heartbreak Hill, and she was walking. I'm like, this isn't how I wanted to beat her. I wanted I wanted to get her fair and square, but
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, but
That's
no.
wild.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
Bill Rogers. I met him one
Bill
time.
Rogers, oh my God, he's a kick. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
took
were
the
we were at Steamtown getting off the bus at Steamtown. It's me and Joey McGee. He says, "Hey, there's Bill Rogers." So we went
yep.
over, and of course Joe knew him. Joe had met him at somewhere else before. I guess maybe he met him uh, at Steamtown before. I don't know. And I said, "Hi, Bill. I don't know if you remember me." And he goes, "No. Where did I meet you?" And I said, "You didn't." he caught me. I'm Gary Ferguson. Oh yeah, it's like, oh man,
Yeah, we took a cab
that was a
together.
day. You know, I saw Jeff Galloway. Saw him out in Big
Yep.
Sur, and Dean Cornez. I saw him out in
Oh,
Big.
I don't think I've never met him.
Yeah, he's not a big guy. He's done a lot for the running world. That's for sure.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was at he was at that Bethlehem Running Festival one year, the Runners World Running Festival.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, he's not a very big guy.
Mm-mm.
My favorite one I met was Meb at the end of Wine Glass
I
one year,
love
but
that. Isn't he the best? Handing
oh, it
out
was
the
great.
medals and
Yeah, it was awesome. And then I met Shanley Flanagan
yeah.
once, and the other big one for me was my first Boston was the year Lance did it, and I passed him at
Oh,
3,000 meters, and he passed me back at about mile 23.
really? Because what was your
Yeah,
time for that one? Because didn't he ran a good time.
Yeah.
I ran a 2
Okay, I was gonna say I thought he was
2:53 and change, I think, for that one. That was my fastest marathon.
Boston,
But yeah,
your fastest too?
yeah, and I remember passing him at 3,000 meters, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you hit that wall, and then at 23 miles, him and his entourage, like they've been, you know, just kept going. It's like, that's
Dang it.
that's too
I'm
bad.
gonna try to draft off you. Not working.
I should have. I should have.
Yeah. Wait, what year was that? Was that 2009?
I think it was either '08 or '09. It was
Because
one of
I
the
ran
first two ones.
because I ran as an elite when he was there.
Okay.
So, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool to meet him, but I figured they'd probably bring him in somewhere so he wasn't bombarded by people, but I didn't run into him
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
church. There's a lot of hiding places, I guess.
You should have tried harder, Lori.
I know I didn't do very good.
That's funny.
So, uh, if we had to vote on it, right? Would we vote for Boston become a lottery system or keep it as a qualifying time based marathon? You three are going to vote. There's only three of
I
you, so it's going to be decided right now.
Okay.
I say keep it a qualifier.
Yeah.
I do too.
Keep it qualify only.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
keep it a qualifier because they let people in, not so much a lottery, but charities.
Right.
And I like how
Right.
it's set up right now because there's people that raise hundreds of thousands of
Right.
dollars that run behind us. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So say that again, Lori. I'm not familiar with that. So there's people that do not hit the qualifying times that are actually in it.
yes,
Okay.
yep, they're toward like 23 to 26,000. Like there's a few thousand, but it's usually like
Okay.
cancer foundations,
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, like people
Right.
that go. They enter as a charity, raising money
Okay.
for a charity. Yeah, so I like that. I'm such
Yeah.
a
Good. That's
give it
good.
back
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
community type person. So I like. So that's
Mhm.
what I would keep it as. I hope they don't go to the lottery
Yeah.
system because I think
I
that would
agree.
eliminate that piece, or it'd make it so ridiculously big that I
Yeah.
have no desire to do New York. Have any of you guys done New York?
Never.
You
I
have,
got in it
Gary?
once and I didn't run
I
it.
did it in '88, and there
Oh
was
my gosh.
I think there was 20,000 people, but I think it was 16,000 in the lottery. And if you didn't get picked the first three, you definitely get in the fourth. But I got picked the first time, so I went down there and ran that, and that was pretty cool.
Was it fun?
Yeah, yeah, it was loud. I picked up a hat along the way, a New Balance hat. It was
Of
probably
course.
the first mile and a half in. I said I'm going to take that with me, and I got that
There he
downstairs.
is. There
I
he
got
Like
is.
all
I
the
got
stuff
that
that
with the
people
I
have
got that with
lost,
the
Gary
shovel,
has.
Lori.
I want to talk to your wife and ask her what you have collected and what you have in some room.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
like your finds.
I got that shovel hanging up out back.
Oh,
I picked
that's right. Oh my
I carried that a
A
little
shovel?
while.
God.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's pretty good. Hey, there's one guy.
No, you gotta tell the story. Wait, Gary,
Oh,
because
okay.
I used to do the Santa Hat run, just a fun run Christmas Eve, just to give people a break, and it was free. We all did this loop run, and Gary was with us, and we were doing like a 7.5 mile loop, and he finds a shovel, not a little guy, but a big guy, and
Yeah,
he carries that damn shovel.
yeah.
Yes, I forgot about his shovel, guys. He
God,
carried that shovel that was almost as big as him all the way down
yeah.
to
It was quite a
20.
ways.
It
Yeah,
was.
a few miles, but
It was quite a few for that big
yeah.
shovel.
We have a local guy that
Oh,
when
gee.
I went to well, I was in Steamtown, and he was kind of helping me in Steamtown. He was telling me where people were at and different. And I qualified. I says, "Man, are you going to be in Boston?" Because he was helping me out there. It was pretty cool. Well, anyway, I saw him in Boston, and he's not a Boston qualifier. I think he's run. I don't know if he's run 7 marathons or what. Might be four or seven. I don't know. And sure enough, he jumped in and he was a bandit and he ran the whole way, and then he just got out at the finish. His name's Tony
Wow.
Belcher.
Who?
Tony Belcher. I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys know him, but anyways, he lives in
No.
Wyalusing. But he ran
Oh,
the whole way as a bandit. Jumped in the gate and then started a race and ran. Now, how cool
wow.
is that?
That
Nothing
is,
legal, but it's
that's
pretty cool, I
gutsy.
think.
Yeah.
Gary, Gary's always on that edge.
Oh yeah. Well, as far as qualifying, he probably couldn't have qualified, but this is his chance, to run that great race.
It's
And
like that dog that jumped into that one
oh
race,
yeah,
you know, finished the
yeah,
whole damn thing, and
yeah.
except for that dog got a medal. Apparently, your buddy didn't.
No, 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 he didn't. But
He should have
it's
gotten a
a pretty
medal.
cool story, though. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
It's hard to do too because they're pretty strict. Did
yeah.
Yeah.
you either one of you say you were there? Were either one of you there in 2013?
I was.
What was that like? If you don't, do you guys mind me asking that?
I
Okay.
No, I don't mind. It was interesting. Like it's for me, it's still kind of surreal, even though it's been what 12 years,
Years.
13 years.
Yeah.
Um, because when we finished, it was just a finish, and
Yeah.
then got on the met the family, got on the train and whatnot, and all of a sudden we're getting all these text messages asking if we're all right and things like that, and like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm sore, and then somebody was finally like, no, there was a bomb at the finish line in Boston, which at first I was like the shoe store, you know, and then we realized what had happened, and so for me, it's still kind of surreal. But I'll tell you what, and you probably know this kind of stuff better than I do, Lori. But it was a very long time for me before I could really enjoy another marathon. Like I would run them, and the times just weren't there and whatnot, and I just was not enjoying them like I did
Yeah.
before that. I mean, now we're back to
Back
they're a
into
ton of
it.
fun, but yeah, it was and still is very surreal for me because
Yeah.
it when I finished, it was another normal marathon, and then when we got off the train, it was
Yeah.
completely
Anything but.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
So
taking, such a big day of celebration there in
yeah,
Boston, and they have the game, the Red Sox game going on, then the fans
yeah,
come up.
yeah,
Like it's just such a huge celebration of history and nostalgia and all of that. And it, really, yeah, tainted.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is my last question, guys.
Okay.
You guys are all very accomplished runners with a lot of big races that you've run. But let's just say if you were talking to someone who just started running, just started exercising, is really not in shape, doesn't know anything about the sport, doesn't know what to do, what kind of basic advice would you give them to help either motivate them or just help them get through their first, difficult 3 months to a year of training?
Good question.
Yeah. I don't think I had anybody. give me any information when I started. You know, I think I just went out and said, I think the lawn looks like it needs mowing, but I think I'll just go out for a run and see how that goes. And it was kind of hard work. I would probably say run and walk, probably
The
start
lawn's
that,
still not mowed.
and pick a distance and work on that. But I I don't think I had anybody telling me what to do. I think I would ask some people. I can remember, that was like Mike Rogers and Joe Gallagher and all them guys were running back then. And of course, you go to a race and you train some, and then you go to a race and you realize where you're at in the pack, and then you pick somebody out. And you think, I bet I can beat him next time, and then you would just kind of run some more, and then you catch that guy, and you just kind of smile when you went by him, or not when he went by you, whichever. But you would pick somebody out and go from there, and you would gauge off them to see how you were running. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Um, I just want to say something really quick. I wondered if that was a difference between men and women. Where like when I've run in races, I haven't ever had females, maybe they wouldn't say anything to me like, "Oh, I beat you," but I've had males make comments. And I wondered, like you're talking about gauging. And I'm
Mhm.
just curious, because like with me, I mean, there was people that was like, "Oh, wow," but it was more of the time for me and how I felt, and obviously there's a lot of variables, but I'm just curious, is that more of like a gender thing, or do you think it's just
I don't. When I was gauging people, like I started running, and I started getting better and better, and I knew some of the guys that were better, and I knew how good they were
right?
doing for races, and if I knew, if I was a minute behind them or 2 minutes behind them, I would kind of gauge off them.
Yeah,
I would try to shoot for some of them guys, just
yeah.
and
That
you're not
gives
talking during the
motivation.
race, but afterwards, you kind of meet them, and then you hold a conversation, and you become good friends. But
Yeah,
when the race goes, you're still racing. you know,
yeah.
just I don't know how to gauge them. I just try to get better. And some races are better than others, and
Oh, yeah.
you know,
That's so true. I know,
yeah,
I think for me,
Yeah.
when I started out, it was like Gary, but then, like, meeting fellow runners, they were really good about, shoes, and I
mhm,
think that was the most imp for me, the beginning, the shoes, and I just read a lot and read a lot, and then I hooked up to Mike Udencia,
yeah,
who had read a lot of information, and he was a great guide for me, and he gave me books to read, and I was like, "Okay, don't, go more than 10% per week." I do have clients every so often knowing that I run, they'll wanna start it up, and so, a lot of times I'm like, "Just start out." I think that Couch to 5K that Runner's World put out it's a good one, it's like I tell people too many people go
Yeah.
out and they wanna run 5 miles, and then they're sore
mhm,
and they can't run for several days. I said, "You're better off doing," you know, I start out walking and then I jog 2 minutes, and I was kinda doing fartleks without realizing I was doing it, but it
Mhm.
was more like fart, walk.
yeah, yeah,
But, it's just bite sizes, and I think for me, it was having, um points where I'd get to. It's like, "All right, I'm gonna get to the end of my road and I'm gonna come back." And then,
Mhm.
like by the next week, I'm like, "I'm gonna try to make it up to this tree beyond our road," and I just started picking out objects and then,
Yeah.
the not realizing my capabilities, that just kind of came along, and that happened more when there were people I watch, I'm like, "Oh my God, they're incredible," never expecting to be in a race and going, "Oh my gosh, I just finished with them."
yeah,
And, but you just don't know. It's kind of fun at the beginning because you don't know you don't know where you're
Yeah.
at, everything's a new, it's all PRs
yeah,
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah, I
Right.
just ran a mile in 20 minutes and I ran in 18." But yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, you know what? I just remember that guy's name.
Oh, did you look it up, Gary?
No, Hubert Morgan was his name. He was a running reverend, Hubert Morgan.
The
And he was
Hubert
Reverend,
Morgan.
running Reverend.
running reverend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was like the Ed Whitlock. He was like, or
Oh,
or Gene Dykes. Like he was in his 70s and still running 3 hour
yeah.
miles. And I think
Wow.
I don't know if he ever won Pikes Peak, but he must have been in the top 10. Like
Oh,
he was
he
really
was
good.
good.
Yeah, Hubert
Oh, he
Morgan.
was good at the grueling ones.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough one. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took a while to get up. Not near as long as to get down. I think I was 2 hours faster coming down that race than I was going up. Pikes
That's
Peak.
wild.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess my advice would be similar to Lori's. Start with something small. I was telling a guy today about the Couch to 5K. I think it's a great way to start, and I like the way Casey put it in the episode we had with him. Like, motivation comes and goes.
Yeah. That
Find
was,
something. Yeah, find something you can
yeah.
do consistently, and start with that. I thought that was
I
great.
love that. I loved what he said about that
Yeah,
motivation because I'm like, that's so true. There are
it
times,
is.
all right, I'm ready. I can try to break 3 again. And then the next thing is like,
Yeah,
I don't want to get up. I don't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
And I'm reading that book, Let Them, and she does this 5,
Mm.
4, 3, 2, 1 method that Mel Robbins, she said she counts back from 5 when she had no motivation. When she got down to 1, she's like, whatever it is I need to do, I'm getting up. I'm only giving myself a 5 second. And then she gets up and I'm like, all right, I'll do that with running
Mm.
because
Yeah,
I can get on, I
yeah,
can scroll or
pretty cool.
it's bad. It's bad.
Plenty of distractions.
Yeah.
lots of them.
So I have one more question. Maverick, when?
Yes.
When?
Yeah,
What's the timeline looking like? Because I have to hold you accountable. Okay. So when you come back
Oh,
around, I'm going to be
why?
like,
We're
She's
so
calling
close
you
to
out
getting
right now.
no,
through.
you're not getting out of it. This old lady's holding your feet to the fire.
and where?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well,
which
you
directions
got
are
no
they?
one said Pittsburgh, so it's definitely not going to be that because I've never heard anything good.
I've heard that's a challenging one.
It is.
Um, I always said I would run 2. I'd run 1, try to qualify for Boston, and then just run Boston and be done with it, and then never talk about it again. That was always what I would tell people. Because when you're a young runner in college, everyone goes, "Well, do you run marathons? What's your marathon time? You run Boston?" It's like, no, I run 5 miles, I run 5Ks, I run 1500. They don't know any of that stuff. They just know the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
how far is a marathon? Like
Yeah.
a 5K is a
That's a,
marathon, right?
back in those days, no one knew what half the people we talked to, they didn't know what a marathon was. They just knew the word, So they had no idea. They thought we ran marathons every weekend
I
as a
know.
college run. That should be a new college sport, the marathon team. Yeah.
is he
Ooh,
avoiding, guys? Is he
he
avoiding the
is.
question? He
I'm
is.
doing well with it though. You have to.
Mm, mm, no, no, you're not. Because I'm
Not,
still here. I'm still here. I
Yeah,
still see
not.
ya.
So my short answer is I'm going to run a half marathon probably with Wolfman, and then
There you go.
depending on how bad that is, then I will come up with a time for
Okay.
the coup de grace.
So what half are you guys looking at?
What half
Does
map?
wine glass have it as a half? Doesn't it?
That's a
They
good half.
do.
I love their
Maybe that.
half.
Yeah.
That is probably one of my favorite halves. But I love wine glass in general. I just
Yeah.
love it.
It
That's a
sounds
fun one.
appealing to me more than most of them. Steamtown sounds interesting too because I do like a good challenge. So the
Hmm.
hills sound good to me. I don't really want to do like a flat one or like a Florida
Oh,
based one where it's really hot. I don't think I'm
no.
gonna love that. So I think I'd like to start with something a little cooler, a little more challenging, maybe less crowd. That way, what I'm
Mhm.
thinking is if I don't like that, then I'll go with a really big crowded one,
There you go.
and
Yeah.
then I could do that for the marathon.
Right.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Well, wine glass half is fast. It's flat. So you're
Yeah.
not going to get the hills at all in that, but it's just beautiful. I like I
Yeah.
said, that is probably one of my favorite. I've done the half and the full.
We've had a lot of people on the show that have done it, and most people liked it. I think there was like one person that didn't really care for it because it wasn't crowded. But I love their Instagram posts, so I'm always kind of attracted to that particular half marathon.
So Wolfman, you got that right.
I do.
So should I
So when is that? I guess Lori, when is that? When is the next?
October.
Well, it's October.
What is the date of the next half?
It's usually the second.
Okay.
I could tell you because I'm signed up for the full already.
You are?
I am.
Are they together? Are they same day?
Yeah.
They're the same day, and they finish and stuff at the same place. And I think they're separated from each other, right? Time-wise?
Yeah. Yep. One's an hour. The marathon starts earlier. October
5th this year.
Oh, October 5th?
All right,
that's
so
2024.
I'm gonna write that down just because Lori's gonna ask me about it on the next.
I am.
Yeah, best thing to do is commit now. Like enter it now. That way,
right. I have a problem procrastinating.
Not to do them, you know.
And it's expensive when it gets past. Is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
July. That's the only thing. That's my only bone of contention. Is like, I think it runs up to the half is almost like 160 or something if you're past that last deadline. Yeah, don't quote me completely, but it was shocking. I was like,
Wolfman said he would cover me for the first half marathon that I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll write it off as a business expense.
Should we do a GoFundMe?
that would probably get it done too. Yeah. $45,000 to run one marathon.
It's marketing.
Yeah. I think the early registration's still open, right?
I think so. Of course, once you sign up, and Jim Thorpe was like this too, and I don't know if you guys get this or not, but when you sign up for some of these races, you get emails afterwards, and sometimes I have to double check that I've registered because it's like, I think I already registered.
Yeah.
But the way they write the email, it's like, hurry, register soon. It's like, oh no, did I not hit okay? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
But
guys, I have to wrap it up there.
We got Maverick to commit, so this is good. I feel this was productive.
I think there you go.
You wrote it down.
Proud of you. So proud of you.
You wrote it down.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Take care. Nice seeing you, Gary.
Guys,
congratulations on your recent race.
We are in awe of all your accomplishments, Lori and Gary. Thank you so much. And Wolfman, of course, we're in awe of your accomplishments as well, but we already know all about you. Thanks again.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
Maverick and Wolfman running out.